Hi, in today's video, I want to talk about how to format your book for Kindle and for paperback. Uh, and this there you'll find this tutorial particularly helpful if your book has it's a full content book. It has lots of images and all that, and maybe you don't want to pay maybe somebody to create it for you. So let's say, for example, this is a topic that I think, and I I never got to publish it because Amazon started just not accepting these types of books. So when people were making their own face masks, I think I just didn't get to start publishing this one. So I'm going to use it as just as illustration, just to help you get to see how to just format books for Kindle and for paperback. So just follow me through as we get started. Um, the first thing when maybe something like this. The first thing you want to do is to make sure that you center your title. So, for example, for our case here, this is the title. This part here is the title. This part here is the subtitle. So I'm just going to place backspace to delete the space, and then place enter just to and then once I've done that, I'm going to put this one as title. Capitalize each word. You could use title case if you prefer that, but normally I just use title case for my titles. Um, so once you've done that, so basically every word starts with a capital letter. Uh, when caps is on, so um, you center the both of them. This is heading, the title and subtitle, and then you set this to the font of. I normally I use Georgia uh, font. So first, for a start, let me, before you even proceed, I'll first highlight all the text, Control and A. Then I'm using Windows, so just bear with me if you're using Mac. So you can use the equivalent shortcuts on your computer. So select all the text, of course, set your preferred font. I normally prefer setting my font to be Georgia. So I'm going to use that one. And then you select this. Once you've done that, this is where you want to start by setting the size of your title. I normally I like setting it around maybe 26, 28. Um, you can set it around this from around 26 to whatever you feel just makes sense for you. 26, 36, that's between 26 and 36 just works well. So for illustrations here, I'm going to use 36. How do you make your own face mask? And then for the subtitle, I will use font, maybe perhaps 20, 22, 24, somewhere there. But let's settle with 22. And then for my subtitles, um, I normally put them in italics. So you're free to use whatever other font you prefer using. Mine, I just like using the same, that italics. So once you've done the same, you'll notice sometimes maybe when you're writing, sometimes you're using the enter function to, sometimes you ended up just using unnecessary spaces within your text. So you want to make sure that this function here is enabled. It shows this hides or shows your formatting marks. So this is the function that you want to make sure that is enabled as you work on your document, because it shows where you basically were putting mark you're pressing your cursor just to go to the next page. Where you're pressing enter function to go to the next page. So of course this will end up just creating formatting problems with your Kindle book and paperback version, because if in a Kindle book it create unnecessary, will be white space. This will not be this will not be necessary. And this is what Amazon will tell you, it creates a bad customer experience. So you want to make sure that these issues are not on in your book. So what you're going to do is just highlight where you see there is a problem, where you see these functions here. This essentially means space. Anything that seems like an inverted, this like an inverted P. This essentially means this is space. This is unnecessary white space. So you want to make sure that you get rid of this. So I'm going to highlight this section. You can delete one at a time, but just fasten things up. I'm going to highlight all of them and just press the delete function. Just delete the button of backspace, whatever works for you. It's fine. And normally, I think delete works without having to and find yourself having maybe deleted something different. Let me just give you an example. Let's say, for example, I use backspace. Sometimes you'll notice that maybe it deletes text just right below before it. So it delete maybe will help you just ensure that just delete that specific function section alone. So now after that, now see this that this one is this introduction. Um, and since we want the introduction to start on a new page, what we are going to use is we're going to insert a page break. So the function for inserting a page break, you click on insert and then page break. Insert a page break. So that way, whenever if it's on a Kindle device, for example, it will just go to the next page immediately. It will not create all these spaces. Otherwise, if you did not have this page break, it tells the device that there is content there that when it's actually blank. So once you've done that, there's also another shortcut for example for putting page breaks. There's this small function here. I think your computer might have it. So might have the same shortcut at the top. So you can just do the same, or you can use Control and Enter. It will create the same page break. It will create this same page break. So that should make your work easier. So once you've done that, um, once you've created the page break after the title of the book, the next thing that you want to do is make sure you set the spaces, the paragraph spacing correct, so that you don't when you are formatting the content, it will not come to just make you have to do work to go back to fix your errors. Maybe for example, in maybe spacing problems and all that. So when you set the spacing correct, you end up where you just save yourself from the trouble of having to go back just trying to figure out where maybe spacing problems lie. So select all the text, just Control A, and then click on this function. This is a shortcut for paragraphs. You want to set spacing. Under this spacing, I normally put this is what I put. You're free to put whatever you wish, or you are free to just play around with things as you see what is best, what works best for you. So for spacing, I put 0 point. And then this for after, I normally put 10. And then this one, sometimes it depends. For this one, I normally put either 1.5 lines or single line. So for this book, I'm going to put 1.5 lines. You will see just how different it is. I'll just put 1.5 and then we'll put again 1 and then you'll see the difference. So for this one, make sure you uncheck this function. Don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. If you want to make this your default setting, you can set as default. But for this, for illustration purposes, I will not set it as default yet. So this is how 1.5 looks like. So I want you just to keep that in mind. And let me try now using 1 point. Let me now use single spacing so that I just see the difference. See the difference? This is the difference between 1.5 and 1. I normally really think 1.5 looks neater. It doesn't look like it's too cramped up. So you're free to use whatever you feel works well for you. Some people may say that it gives too much. You're using too much space, so just to increase your page count. But I really honestly really feel that that page count does not that the spacing makes the work look a bit neater in my opinion. So you're free to use that or just use 1.5, but just let's go back to setting it to my 1.5. I preferred 1.5. And then I'm going to go back again and set this as my default. So let me just set my 1.5 and then set this one as my default, all documents based on the normal template. So if you want your document to just be using that same template, so that you now whenever you click clear formatting, it easily just sets it to that kind of spacing. So you can use the same that you can just check that function all documents based on the normal template. Just press OK. So once you've done that, that is you've set your spacing. So the next thing you're going to do is make sure that your work is justified. So I'm going to set this justified. So I'm going to select all the text so that is not appearing, it's not left aligned or aligned to the left. I'm going to set it as justified. So I select everything and then justify it. Then of course, since I had centered aligned this one, the title, I'm going to go back again and just center it. So that's how the content will look like. So now from there, this is now where we start putting the headings for the different, so that we are able to generate table of content down the line. So what we want to show in our table of contents is what we want to tag, so that in the end the system is able to generate our table of contents without much trouble. So for our case here, the introduction appears in the table, would obviously appear in the table of contents. Chapter headings will obviously appear in the table of contents. Anything that feels like it's maybe a subheading or something, that will end up needing to be in the table of contents. So to get started, I'm going to have this one, the introduction, as part of the table of contents. So this is, if you want it to appear like the level 1, that would be like heading 1. If you want it to appear at level 2, that would be heading 2. If you want it to appear at level 3, that would be heading 3. I normally don't go beyond heading 3. Actually, rarely do I even use heading 3. I actually stick to heading 1 and heading 1s and 2s. So the introduction, so for our case here, I'm going to just set this heading here. And since my template here is not set properly, what I want to do is I want to set it properly, so that now whenever now I select any heading, it automatically just sets the correct heading moving forward. And then now in terms of the formatting is right, everything just looks neat. So I'm going to select this. I select all because I've not selected anything yet, and then modify. And then from here, this is where I set the font. Since I mentioned my preferred font is Georgia, and we're also going to set the color. Automatic is black, really. And then here we're still going to justify the text here. Then you set the font. The font, you can choose between 16 or 14 for your heading ones. Let's first start with 16. And then we select bold. This has to be bold just to make sure that the content looks it stands out better. And then you check on automatically update and just choose new documents based on this template. This will ensure that if now moving forward, you've saved your settings so that now whenever you want to format something, it uses the same settings. So now moving forward. So from there, just click OK. So when you select, when you click on this heading one, that is how now essentially it automatically just updates your heading one. So now from there, now it's just moving forward, going through the text, just making sure everything is right. And then we just streamline it to ensure that there are no obvious problems with the text. You just follow me through. The introduction is okay. Now it's heading one. Please go down. What we are looking for is we are looking for things like now blank spaces that should not be there. We're also looking for, of course, this is not about editing, but if you're also maybe suppose if you also going through your work, you just make sure that you also keep your eyes open to see whether there are typos or stuff like that. Anything underlined, if you've enabled spelling checks, if you have Grammarly, for example, my computer has Grammarly. If you have if you've anything like say you have autopilot making suggestions, copilot, sorry, if you have copilot making suggestions to your text, whatever it is that you have that maybe might make suggestions, if you're formatting, still have to keep your eyes open just to ensure that you don't end up just missing something that would have been that you could easily have caught when while just doing this the final touches. Um, so normally, whenever there are bullets, I normally like aligning them to the left. So I push them. I for this function, I try to push the indent to the left, like that. And then same case for this one. I think I prefer I find it neater like that. But they're bullets, but they're not just too far pushed to the right. So that's just how I prefer it. If you like it, just push the one when one just one tab in. It's still fine. You're free to use the way you whatever settings that you prefer. Now from there, of course, this is white space that we don't want, and we also don't want is we don't want us we do not want a page break here. So we are going to delete this unnecessary space here. And then we use Control Enter to create a new page break. Because when you're moving to a page to a new chapter, you have to have a page break. So once you've done that, you're free now to format this chapter. This will be our first chapter one. We're going to format it that way. Of course, some people prefer to have it maybe in a different format, like for example, can be like chapter one, and then maybe somebody might center it like that. They might prefer it like that, but I personally prefer it to be justified at the left, and then I use the chapter one, and then the text just appears right after it. And then of course I'm going to, for every chapter title, I like using the same settings as my book title. So you capitalize each word. If you prefer the chapter numbering to be like this, sometimes I will use ones or in numbers. Sometimes I'll just use in words. Really, sometimes I for different books I might decide differently. So you're free just to decide which one you're going to go for in your book. So now from the next, here we're going to apply heading one, and then move to the next one. Our bullets, we put them, reduce the intent. Same case for the next. You can use, if you know about shortcuts, you can use shift and the arrow key just to move around. So whenever there is a space, let's for example here, you can just reduce that space by using that function. I just just when you have this function enabled, you can easily see where there is space. So you decide whether you keep the space or you move forward with it. So or delete with it, delete the space. So just feel free just to make the changes as appropriate. So as you can see, there is unnecessary space here. If you don't make these changes, sometimes you'll notice Amazon might end up maybe asking you to make changes to a book. So this is where you need to just make sure that you get things right from the get-go. So I'm going to delete that. And then we have our space. So just follow me. Consistency, we have to make sure our formatting is consistent. So there is this part where we say the also of space mark. Let's say, for example, this is going to be our heading 2. So we're going to also modify this. It is going to be Georgia. Remember our heading ones we used 16. So now this time we can use 14. This has to be slightly less. This is 14, Georgia. Automatically update. The font is automatic. New documents based on this. So that's how we do it. And then now uh, you change the font. Then now you change the text. For the subheading for this now, which is heading tools, I think I would advise to use title case. So just go to, if you don't know how to use title case, if how to use title case properly, you can just go to any tool that is out there. Just search title case converter. You can just copy the text. Let me just you can just find. I'll provide a link. I might provide a link to the same on this video. Title case converter. You just copy the text and just select the relevant title case tool. And then you just copy and paste it. It should be able to convert the text easily. So once so this is our heading 2, as you can see. Let me go back to it. I think there's a section here maybe. Let's say, for example, you still have to select this one, says our heading 2s. And for the purposes of this video, since this is not exactly an editing video, I'm just going to use this as heading, this the way they are, like in terms of capitalize each word, capitalize the first letters, just for uniformity. This is, of course, this is not an editing video, so once you've made your changes, I'm assuming you've actually gone through your work effectively. So let's assume all this, anything that is bolded here will end up being a heading 2. So we're going to just use heading 2s like that. We're in chapter 2. So now in this case, this for example, this how to sew a face mask. So there is those images that are provided and all. So for the Kindle version, you might be tempted to have to maybe create some new page, maybe a page break here, but it affects just the reading, the flow of the content. Maybe because from a device, maybe just a device might not know where exactly to place maybe the space. So you might find, for example, this comes to at maybe the end of the text of a page, and then now the image goes to another page. So they end up having a lot of just large blank space. So you want to leave that's the work of just putting spaces to the device. So since you might not be sure how exactly it's going to place the spaces, unless you wanted to create a new page, to start on a new page, you don't need to keep creating new pages where you really we are not sure where it's going to be. So just you can, for example, if you want to how to sew a face mask, to start on a new page, it's perfectly okay. Let me just put it the wrong place. How to sew a face mask. This can start on a completely new page. So on the Kindle, on the reader, whatever device the reader is reading with, this would actually appear on a new page. And then the image can follow, whether it's going to be adjusted to fit the page, the screen, or whatever approach the device does, that will be upon it. So just don't keep making any other changes. So of course, now after doing that, um, of course, you're going to just assume these ones are fine, start doing, because that is part of that project. Um, then the next, this was just for reference, so I'm just going to just leave them as they are. So this is maybe another project. So if it's a DIY book, for example, I prefer having the projects start on a new page, each project start on a new page. So for example, in our case here, if this is a DIY fabric, say face mask. So this is let me just go back to our first chapter 2 to see what it is about, making the face mask. So really this is about actually creating a face mask. So for our case here, we can decide to have this as the next chapter heading 2, because since it's not exactly a chapter, just a heading 2. It's part of our our first chapter, our chapter 2. We leave the rest as they are. This is something that I want you to take note of. When you have enabled this, sometimes you'll notice that there are these small marks here. It shows that there is the text did not exactly the text is not exactly well formatted. You want to make sure that this, if it's a new line, starts just nicely. So when you just place your cursor, let me go back. You place your cursor at the end here, at the end, and at the very end, like here. Uh, just delete that thing that looks like more like more like an enter function. There's a shortcut for the arrow. Just delete it. You'll notice that just easily forces the text so that it just fits nicely within the space. Just do the same for any other incidents. And once you delete, make sure that there is no spacing problem. As you can see here, it has ended up creating new space, unnecessary merging the two words. So just make sure that is not the case. You do the same for all the other incidences, so that your book just appears nice and clean. So I'm going to just leave these others as they are. Create the page break. We are still heading 2, since we are still we have not started a new chapter. So as I mentioned previously, we'll notice that this just flows nicely to the next one. When you put space here, you might end up just messing up with the formatting for, this is the Kindle version that we are formatting. So just going to just leave it as is in that section. So here we are going to just make sure that we fix this issue. And then when I put this one, just go to the next one. Is like that. Heading 2. We keep going. It's primarily a formatting book, the formatting video. So if you notice an error, just bear with me. I'm primarily just focusing on just creating this for formatting. So this one, they are how to make a face mask filters from a panel filter. So I'm going to just create space for this, create a page break, then heading 2. how to make face mask if you don't want to sew. So I'm just going to create page break. I'll just leave the space so that it's not one necessary white space. Same case for here, goes to the next page. In the same case, we just keep going. If you notice an image is large, too large, maybe it doesn't just fit, like has a lot of big, large white space around it. You can crop out the white space. Now, this is how to go about it. Just double click on it. You'll see a crop function at the top. You can adjust this large space here, large space here, large space here, so that on large space here, so that now it doesn't just look like it occupies too much space. Same case for this one. I'm going to do the same. You notice something like that, you just um, crop out the large empty space that really doesn't add a lot of value to the image itself. So of course, for the purposes of this video, I might not crop everything. I'm just giving highlights on what exactly needs to be done to make sure that your your work just looks neat and doesn't create what Amazon calls a disappointing customer experience. So as you can see from here, I can maybe, as you format the images, just try to make sure that the images have or somewhat align. For example, in our case here, you notice these images, they don't look like they are wildly different in terms of the dimensions. You want to make sure that they almost feel consistent in their sizing. Um, some people prefer to have the images centered. So it's really up to you what you feel looks neater, what you feel looks just much more presentable. And if you're going to choose to center one image, make sure to center everything. If you're going to decide to use this justified setting, make sure to justify everything so that just your work just looks just consistently niche throughout the book. So yes, here this is where I think that image that chapter 2 ends. We create a new chapter, which is chapter 3. Um, uh, we of course will set it nicely as appropriate. So for this chapter, I have not noticed for example, anything maybe to do with any bolded section. So I'm going just to leave this italicized sections here like as they are, because really these are more like points. They're the right way to use a face mark. You really don't need that to be appearing on your table of contents. So you just make sure that not everything appears in your table of contents. Really, sometimes it makes sense just to keep things to just, it's not like you're listing every point on your table of contents. Really just create a disappointing experience. Like somebody looks at your table of contents, they almost don't see the need to just read your work. So I would prefer, don't just include things where maybe numbering or something. Unless it's really, really critical, don't incorporate it. So the next thing, of course, this one, how to put on the face mask. That's heading 2. The mask, this is heading 2. Is important note, really doesn't need to be covered. This should be chapter 4, in my opinion, I think. So we are going to change this to 4. Workspace. So you can just set this nicely. So the same case, you just keep your eyes open to want to be able to capture all the any possible errors, spacing mistakes, and all those things. Um, so this coronavirus countless questions. I don't know whether this is meant to be a chapter. But let's see how the rest is like, how the rest of the content is structured. So just you can know how your content is structured by just going through the just Control and F should open these tabs here. When you navigate around between these ones, you should be able to see which chapters, which ones appear as heading ones, which ones appear in heading twos, and on the all. And also, for example, in our case here, I noticed that, for example, I use numbers. Numerals is in chapter one, and words in the rest of it. So just for consistency, I'm going to change these ones to chapter two in numerals, and then chapter three in numerals. Want to make sure that your work also looks consistent. And then remember our chapter one is about why you should make your own face mask. The next chapter is about making the face mask, the activity itself, the right way to use the mask, how to clean. And of course, there is some other stuff here. Uh, this could actually be an entire chapter. So we're going to change. This can be chapter number 5. Then we set this like this, because if it's a FAQ, it's capital, it's caps, all of it. Don't want it to look like that. So now that's be our chapter 5. Uh, this ones, of course, can be, you can't incorporate the Q&A in the table of in the table of contents. Or basically, you can't have all the questions on our table of contents. So I think that should be, we are almost coming to the end of it. And this is conclusion. Conclusion appears as heading 1. This, I think I had copied this accidentally at the bottom. I'm just going to delete everything at the bottom. So just it is really the same content. You're just going to just delete it. So once you've done that, you've gone to the end. Go back to the beginning of the book. Now it's time to put your table of contents. So I'm going to sometimes I do it in different ways. Um, I can have the table of contents in the before the introduction or after the introduction. Sometimes I set it as the introduction after the introduction, so that the reader gets a feel of my writing style before, for the introduction. So that way they almost feel enticed when they look inside the book before they purchase it. So when you get to the so for this book, we are going to put the introduction at the top. Just we're going to put the table of contents after introduction. So for our case, we're going to put the page for the table of contents. We're going to just insert a page. So you're going to insert a page break, another page break, just right after the introduction. So just right here. So this here. So that way there is basically a new page, that new blank page here. So you're just going to press just enter once. You'll create something that's a space that looks like this. This is just one space. So go to go to references, then table of contents. Then click on insert table of contents. We'll open this pop-up button, this pop-up. Since the Kindle version does not have any page numbers, we're going to disable this function here so that it doesn't show page numbers. And of course, since it doesn't show page numbers, uh, it cannot have the lines or dots that's not for the tablet tab. Then from there, we're going to, I like playing around with this. You are free to choose whatever you prefer. Sometimes I use the simple approach. Was make sure that you uncheck this function, the numbers, page numbers, and then you click OK. It will create your clickable table of contents. Here at the top of it, you can then type table of contents. And then now you can format your table of contents. So how you want it to appear, I like, of course, I like prefer that it appears just this formatting style is just exactly as the rest of the content. So I'm going to put it as Georgia. Georgia 14. And then since I don't really prefer that there are any sections that are italicized, I'll set it as I'll just disable just toggle with this italic function so that the text is just plain just upright. So as you can see, some sections are bold. Now the main chapters are bold. It's the heading tools are not bolded. Because for a table of contents, the heading itself, we are going to set it as Georgia. And since it's really, we want it to be larger than what that than the text just below it. So we're going to set it at maybe 18, and then bold this one. As you can see, that is how your your ebook table of content will look like. This is clickable because the bit just finished formatting, and then I'll show you how to confirm that your table of content is actually clickable. So as you can see, this after creating the table of contents, there is this space here that is just right after this one. So I'd just almost created a new page, an entirely new page. So just going to go back, just delete just once, just so that there is no new page here. That way, our text just flows just nicely through from the first chapter to the very last chapter. From there, you can of course save. You can save your work. Just save it. I like saving as you can save as .doc, you can save as .x. So let me just give you what I save it. I like sometimes like it saved that this is my default. This is actually my default version. You're going to save as just for organizing to make your work easier to organize. If you're really intending to publish quite a lot of books, I prefer having all files for a book in one place. So I'm going, for example, to create a new folder, and then I create this how to make like face masks. So this folder, since we are going to have multiple files here, we're going to have the ebook version, we are going to have the paperback version, we are going to have maybe other files like the book description, the back text, the book cover, the paperback cover, and all basically most other things that you need for maybe just for reference, perhaps in future. I prefer having everything just in one file, in one folder. So once you've created the folder, you create just name the file, how to make face mask. Then I just name this ebook. Makes my work easy whenever maybe I am uploading the file. to KDP. It makes my work easy. So because I can know this file is this is the right file for ebook, this is the right file for paperback, and I don't end up just uploading the wrong files by mistake. So I really hope you've learned something from this. I will create another video for formatting the paperback. Or we are going just to be formatting the same version, the same file. But if you're happy with my presentation, how I'm doing things, please don't forget to subscribe, share this video, and let's keep learning. Thank you, and look forward to the next one. Thank you.